A cautionary tale. This is how I made a big mistake with my stock portfolio. One of the companies I own stock in was Xpeng, and I lost a fair bit of money on this. There was a little bit of bad luck involved, to be fair, but here's the story of what happened when I bought Xpeng and thought I was going to make money, but instead actually lost money. If only I'd known what was about to happen right after I'd sold my stock. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. A few years ago, now I believe about 4 years ago, I actually bought Xpeng stock. And at the time, I thoroughly believed in the company. Their products at the time were the best in the market in China based on the price. And I said this, I would say you can watch back in at least 30 different videos on the site. I said, you know what? Xpeng are making the best product for the best price. It is actually, their product is better than BYD for the price. I'm talking about electric cars here, not plug-in hybrids, because Xpeng don't do plug-in hybrids yet. For the price, they're the best. And in my opinion, the only way for Xpeng was up. However, that's not really what happened. And for some unknown reason, Xpeng sales fell through the floor. And they continued to fall. And it honestly looked like Xpeng was in trouble. I started to think, you know what, looking at Xpeng's sales, looking at the losses they're making, looking at this trajectory, they could go bankrupt. And let's be real here. I think, honestly, people within Xpeng felt the same thing. You've got to be real. Their sales had fallen by 80%. It looked really, really bad. Why this happened, no one seems to know. No one seems to know why Xpeng stock went down, why their sales just disappeared. I asked the channel, I said, viewers, I know some of you are watching, using programs and software to get around the Chinese block, the block on YouTube. So I know some of the people that watch the channel are from China. I'm like, guys, what's happening to Xpeng? I don't get it. Why are their sales going down? No one really knew. That's the truth. And as you can see here, Xpeng stock price, it really did plummet. In fact, Xpeng hit a high, fortunately I didn't buy it this high, but not far off it, of 64 US dollars on the 27th of November 2020. 64 US dollars. Now that meant it had a market capitalization of more than Ford. Yeah, more than Ford. This was 5 years ago. Nearly 5 years ago, it was worth more than Ford. Now that was a bit ridiculous, to be fair. And fortunately I didn't buy at that particular time. I bought after that. And you can see on the dip here, I bought actually in 2021 at about $24. And I thought I did really well. I mean, I was buying at a huge, huge discount. $24 down from 65. Really big discount. And what that meant is that Xpeng's market cap was sitting at around about $24 billion, which is today, meaning Xpeng are worth more than twice as much as Nissan. More than twice as much as Nissan. Now, Nissan's market cap is about 10.5 billion, which is insane that anyone would buy Nissan stock. But anyway, somebody has to own it, I guess. Somebody has to be a sucker. What happens is, as you can see here, the trajectory for Xpeng stock is just down, 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 down. So between 24th of June 2022 and then going to 28th of October 2022, the value of Xpeng stock plummeted from 35 US dollars all the way down to $8. And it didn't really improve until, well, to be honest, didn't really improve until around July of 2023 when it jumped up to back up to 23 US dollars. About that time, I sold the stock. About then. So I sold it about 20 US dollars and I definitely made a loss. Not a huge loss, but I'd say I lost a few $1,000s. Might have been more than that. I don't exactly remember, but I lost at least a few $1,000s. Since then, Xpeng stock, well, it trended down again. And in 2024, it was back down at around 7 US dollars. In fact, it hit a low of $6.86 on the 9th of August, 2024. But that was about when things began to change. At this point, Xpeng had actually been, well, in business and secretly had done a deal with the Volkswagen Group. The Volkswagen Group had decided the best Chinese car company to invest in was Xpeng. They didn't approach NIO as far as I know. They went straight to Xpeng. They made a deal with XPeng. And the reason that the Volkswagen Group did this deal with XPeng was to use XPeng's technology, to use their platforms, to use their software, not just the actual EV skateboard, but also their self-driving software, also their UI, everything. Basically, the Volkswagen Group was we wanted everything. And XPeng was, well, yeah, we need you. You need us, we need you. This was a perfect match for both companies. They signed an agreement. The Volkswagen Group invested for the amount of shares that amounted to 5% of the company. So the Volkswagen Group now owns 5% of XPeng. And suddenly, things drastically changed. Could it have been a coincidence, or is there more to it than that? Well, I mean, obviously, the perception from Chinese buyers was, hang on a minute, the Volkswagen Group, the largest, most powerful conglomerate in the world, has gone, hang on a minute, they want XPeng. They want the platform. They want the technology. They're saying they're the best. And people in China, this woke them up. They started saying, well, the cars must be good. What have we been doing? Why are we paying more to buy a Tesla? Why are we paying more to buy other cars when these guys have cars that are more affordable and actually the product is better? In addition to that, the CEO of XPeng flew to the United States, where he test drove a Tesla Model 3 using full self-driving. He took lots of research and notes and went back to China and applied the information that he'd learnt to XPeng's cars. And XPeng's full self-driving in China suddenly got very, very good. On top of that, XPeng revealed the best value electric car in the world at the time, the Mona 03. The Mona is an electric sedan, which is a similar size to a Tesla Model 3, but it's literally half the price. It starts at $16,000 in China. And the Chinese couldn't get enough of them. They ordered more than 50,000 within a week, and they still can't get enough. It is an incredibly good value for money car. They're actually doing an SUV version now, which is only going to cost about $1,000 more than the sedan version. That is going to drive sales through the roof. And fortunately for XPeng, they're also in a position where they've been working hard on new models and new technology. Even the cheapest version of the XPeng G6 has an 800 volt platform. And in Europe, car tests there, the reviewers were shocked. The first test they did was a test of 25 different cars, comparing them all to each other, right? They charged them all in winter, 25 different electric cars. They had a Porsche Taycan, they had a Kia EV6, a Hyundai Ioniq 5. These cars are meant to have 350 kilowatt charging. XPeng's meant to have only 285 kilowatt or 290 kilowatt charging. You would think XPeng would have lost that test, but they didn't. In fact, they won, and then they won again. This was shown by mainstream media all over Europe. How is it XPeng are under-promising and fucking over-delivering? That's exactly what they were doing. I mean, really, you've got these major legacy automakers coming in saying our cars will charge at 350 kilowatt, which turned out to be a load of hogwash, and to be honest, just a load of bullshit. XPeng saying the opposite, and their cars are outperforming, and I've found that myself. XPeng say that the G6 will charge at around 280, 285 kilowatt. I've actually hit 295, and not just hit it, but stayed at that peak point. And that's why in the second test, the second group test, involving an XPeng G6, the first one was an XPeng G9, XPeng won again. The fastest charging car in Europe was an XPeng G9, and if that wasn't the fastest charging car, in second place was the XPeng G6. They beat absolutely every car tested in Europe. How is this? A relatively unknown manufacturer comes in and wipes the floor with expensive exotic cars from Porsche and other manufacturers like BMW and Mercedes. Well, you know what? The thing is, those tests kind of look bad for XPeng in comparison to what XPeng have just done. Their new platform charges much, much quicker. The new G6 just revealed, just launched in China, already on sale in China. They already have more than 10 or 20,000 orders within a few days. That actually is now capable of charging much, much faster than that model tested in Europe. In fact, it'll now charge in 12 minutes from 10 to 80%, not some ridiculous 30 to 80%, but from 10 to 80%, which is the absolute benchmark. it charges in 12 minutes. It'll add 450 kilometers of range in a remarkable 9 minutes. 9 minutes, 450 kilometers of range. Now, that means XPeng's charging speed now is well beyond any legacy automakers. Anyone outside of China. No one is in the ballpark. As you can see, the launch of these new cars, in addition to the launch of the P7 Plus, which is sort of like an Audi RS7 at about 20% of the price, it has set XPeng off like a rocket. People couldn't get enough, even though the XPeng P7 Plus is it's a very unusual car. It's essentially a liftback sedan that's more than 5 meters long. XPeng got more than 50,000 pre-orders within a few days. And it also got a heap of favorable publicity from people testing the cars on social media, saying, wow, the full self-driving of these cars is insane. It's probably the best in China. When I got to China, I had a look at some XPeng cars, and the P7 and the Mona, these two cars that are just remarkable value for money. I thought to myself, these are sedans. They won't be practical. I'm not a fan of sedans. They're not practical. I can't fit my surfboards in these sort of cars. And I got in the back of them and I went, wow, I was wrong again. I'm wrong again, right? I got in the back of the P7 Plus and I fit my entire body in that car. I could have fit 4 people in the back of that. I thought to myself, I could fit my mountain bike in the back of this sedan. When can you ever say that? When can you ever say to yourself, I can fit a mountain bike in the back of a sedan? Yeah, sure, it has a sort of a coupe-like, hatch-like thing on the back. But the point of the matter is, it looks like a sedan, but it's actually a practical and very efficient car at an incredibly good price. And you can see why people are buying them. The same thing with the Mona 03. It has much more space because of the liftback. XPeng now say that over the next 12 to 18 months, they're going to launch around 6 to 7 new models outside of China. 6 or 7 new models. The P7 Plus, the Mona, the G9, the G6, the X9, and a range of other models are coming. Right-hand drive production is coming, and XPeng plans to actually sell as many cars outside of China as it does in China. They want to have a 50% split ratio, meaning XPeng will be the most diversified Chinese car company in all of China. I mean, for example, right now, around 15 to 20% of BYD sales are outside of China. Starting around 6 months ago, XPeng's sales figures did something remarkable. They set a record 1 month after another, after another, after another. And even in February, XPeng massively outperformed its rivals, selling a total of around 31,000 cars in the worst selling month of the year. I think that shocked analysts, and as a result, XPeng's stock price has continued its steady climb upwards. I still think the company is actually undervalued. The reason it's undervalued is with XPeng, you're not paying for future growth. XPeng say that by the 3rd or 4th quarter of this year, they'll either break even or make a profit. They'll be one of the only electric car companies in the world to have achieved that feat. And what's remarkable about that is the fact that they have these incredibly good value cars, that they seem to be actually making money on some of them. Some of them they're not. I'm going to guess the cheaper ones they're not. But how XPeng have done that, I don't know. However, whilst the stock prices continue to surge as a result of all these things I've mentioned, it still isn't factoring in the big thing that XPeng are really doing, that is not being noticed really by anyone. And that is 3 things, not just one. Those 3 things are this: their full self-driving technology is rapidly improving. It's incredibly impressive, but maybe just as impressive as that is XPeng's robotics. Their robotics division is remarkable, and they're building robots potentially, they might even be further ahead than Tesla when it comes to their robotics division. I'd say they probably are. They plan to be selling humanoid robots by 2027, and they already have more than 10,000 paid for pre-orders for their flying car. In fact, they had so many pre-orders for their $200,000 US flying car that they actually are building a dedicated factory just to supply pre-orders for flying cars. This is the only company in the world capable of doing this, right? Nobody else has anywhere near this number of orders for a flying car. XPeng are kind of covering off all the different divisions: autonomy, flying future cars, which are already here, flying drones essentially, and robotics. Plus, should I mention, their EV sales are growing month after month after month. I made a mistake and I sold my XPeng stock early. Did I not do my research properly, or was it just bad luck and bad timing? After the Volkswagen Group made that deal with XPeng, everything began to change. Maybe it was a bit of both. Maybe it was my own mistake, but also maybe what happened was this. Maybe it was a little bit like the Rocky story. XPeng took a punch to the face, they fell down, and we all thought they were knocked out. But it turned out they got back up and unleashed a kick to the nuts that absolutely nobody saw coming. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments.